This is a listening session. We want to hear people's comments. We're not gonna make any decisions tonight. And I would like to start with the 5 or 6 or 7 folks who are on the Zoom, and then I would like to move to the folks of you who are in the room, if that's okay. So we're clear, the conversation is about whether or not the select board should consider selling the Pike House for income, taxes, other expenses that we're.
Or possibly keeping it for another use.
Keep it for another use, or keep it as a rental. So we're looking for thoughts, concerns, suggestions, critiques. And I would like to start with, well, I know a few names up there, so I'm gonna start with Simon Carr. Simon, you're on.
Turn him on, he's blocked.
He's muted.
Right. I think my big concern with this is why the hell are you even thinking of selling it? That's one thing. And secondly, the suggestion that you might be using it for something for the town rather than using it as a domestic building. When we bought it and the rest of the buildings, we had a perfectly adequate space in the town offices. We still have that. There is enough space if you really feel the need to expand somewhere, and I can't see why the hell you want to. But if you wish to do that, there is enough space within the town offices to do that. At the very worst, I'd put you lot in the evidence garage. But that's just a minor thought. I have a great deal of it. I worked on this from the beginning of this construction with Don Metz and Frank Bowles, and I think they did a very good job in doing it as compactly as they want. I would like to hear why you're even thinking about trying to do something else with it other than use it as a domestic residence. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, John Bigelow, would you like to speak?
This is a listening experience for me, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Brian Cook,
I'm just listening as well, thanks.
okay, thank you. Darren, Knaus.
Same thing, I'm just here to collect information. I haven't heard anything talked about what the financial aspects of this, so I would like to hear like what the financial reasoning is and what we expect to get if we're doing this.
Okay, I appreciate that. Let's see. Paish?
Patience.
That's patience?
Mm-hmm.
Aha, okay.
I'm just listening, thank you.
Okay, that's very interesting. Who have I missed up there? Have we got everyone that's?
Jennifer Boylston.
Ah, Jennifer.
Hey, just me. I'm mostly listening. I'm just curious to know what the rationale is and what the, financial implications are of keeping the house and what it might be costing.
Yep, okay, thank you.
Oh yeah, I'm just here to learn as well, but I do wonder if there's any really strong reason to sell. It seems like to me a better idea to hang on to the property.
Okay, thank you.
There you go.
And we've gone,
Yeah,
is that Jan Williams?
I think so. And Judy Tim Chula.
Okay, Jan,
Ma'am.
did you have anything specific to say? Questions, comments?
Has the meeting started?
Yes,
Sorry. I have not formulated anything, but I'll listen to others.
okay. And Judith?
I had sent an email, but I support keeping the property as a rental or whatever use it might be as available as a budding property to the town property.
And then you have one more.
Okay.
Jolene Carter King.
Town for
Hi, good evening. I'm in listening mode and I have a vested interest in the outcome and want to make sure that the outcome is publicly heard.
Okay, and who was that?
That was Jolene King, Carter King.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, we will move to those folks who are in the room. And Sue, let's start with you, and then we'll go right around.
Okay. Well, I'm in favor of hanging on to it, the property. I think with the addition of your new administrator, the capacity of the town offices are gonna be pretty much filled up. And I can envision somewhere in the future, down the road, the need to expand. I can't think of a more convenient or less expensive if you already own it, even if it does require some maintenance and some upgrading. It's still gonna be cheaper than to try and find something else to rent or to buy or to build. So I think it makes more sense to hang on to what we have.
Okay, thank you. Michael?
Here to listen and learn, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Listening.
Muggs? Bill?
Two things. One is, I agree with people that the town may have a future need for that property in some sort of expansion sense. And it would be unwise to let go of it without thinking about the fact that if you need another office or something, where are you gonna put people? So that's number one. Number two is we have people living there who have asked for the kindness of allowing their family to live there until their kid is finished with high school, and we're a town of 1,750 people. I think it's a nice idea to try and be kind.
Thank you. Now, do you folks want to wait to the end, or do you want to speak now?
I can speak now, that's
Okay,
fine.
great.
So I wrote something in hopes of keeping my thoughts organized. For those of you who don't know me, I'm who lives in the Pike House. So first, I want to say thank you to everybody who came, because either they read my letter that I posted to the listserv, or saw the story in the Valley News, or who, like myself, is just concerned about what I feel like is the lack of transparency from the Town of Lyme Select Board. I first want to take a minute to address the sale of the house and the two main reasons that the select board gave for exploring this option, which were the issues of liability to the town of Lyme and money. First is the liability of being a landlord. While I definitely agree that this is an unusual landlord-tenant relationship, with the house sharing a property with the town hall and the Lyme police, as well as having a shared septic and a shared well, there is no greater liability for the house than any other town-owned property. If someone walks into the town office, falls and breaks their leg, the town is liable. Liability was raised at the select board meetings when the town first purchased the property, and there is no greater liability now than there was 20 years ago when the town bought the house. As such, the current issue of liability is also a bit opaque. In addition, when liability was mentioned directly to me, I offered multiple times to sign a waiver relinquishing the town of any liability. I carry my own renter's insurance, medical insurance, etc., so have no need to use the town for any kind of mishap that might happen. Second is the issue of money. There was a conversation in previous select board meetings that the sale of the house would give the town additional funds and or stop the town from having to pay for repairs. In the nearly 20 years that the town has owned and rented this house to members of my family, they have received more than $300,000 in rental income. In the nearly 9 years that I have lived in the house, I have done my best to be incredibly conscientious of the town's time and resources before asking for any repairs. In fact, during these 9 years, there have only been a small number of major repairs needed, which include things like a furnace that broke and needed replacing, flooding pipes in the laundry room and kitchen, a closet that had interior ice and mold, and a broken water heater. I did an audit of my emails, and for the issues that required a repair by Matt or an outside repairman, I reached out twice in 2024, 3 times in 2023, 5 times in 2022, twice in 2021, and twice in 2020. Unless the issue has caused an inability to live our lives, I have let it be, as I do not want to cause any burden to Matt or to Dina. Other than the immediately requiring repairs, the only other time I reached out is to ask about things like heating costs for the season, to let Dina know if paint was peeling, or when a repairman had finished completing a project. There are currently a handful of other items needing repair in the home, however, they do not stop our daily routine, so we have either fixed them ourselves or left them alone. You might be wondering, why do I want to continue renting? It quite simply is my home.
Excuse me, Dina.
Who?
Dina, you're
You lost them.
I'm in the middle.
She's working
They're
on
still
it.
there, you just can't see them.
It's the last home in our family that my now deceased father was ever in, the home I spent my holidays in for nearly 20 years, and the place where my children have spent time in as a guest or a tenant for almost their entire lives. Whether the town makes a decision or not to continue to rent to me and to sell or to utilize the house, I believe this decision is financially short-sighted and will cost the town money in the long run. If the house is sold as is, it will not pass inspection with the repairs that are needed. Therefore, it will require a buyer who does not need a mortgage. Once sold, the buyer may ask that the well and septic be separated, a project that is not inexpensive. They may also choose not to live in the property full-time, to use it as a second home, to put up a fence, or to not care for the property, leaving what is now a loved and cared-for home to become an eyesore to the town of Lyme, or, if used as a second home, removing a family that is part of the community and the school system. Additionally, if the town chooses to utilize the property for storage or for offices, this would come at a cost. If the town chooses to use it as an office, it would again need major repairs which would cost the town money and lose them a guaranteed monthly rental income in the process. If it is used for storage, you are now again taking an affordable home that is loved by the family that resides in it and leaving it to collect dust. My question remains the same now as it has been since this possibility was first brought to light. Why now? When I have been an excellent tenant for 9 years, have never been late on rent, and have taken care of any issue the town or dealings ever brought to my attention, why is there a sudden rush to sell the property? What has changed? I am requesting to rent the property through the summer of 2029 when my daughter graduates high school, at which time I will gladly vacate the home if that is what the town wants. I do not want to leave the community that has always been so supportive of myself and my children, but without this house, I cannot afford to live in Lyme or any nearby towns. I don't want to have to uproot my family and move to somewhere completely unknown, away from my family and support system, because the Upper Valley at large is virtually unaffordable. I'm asking the select board to please reconsider their position and look at the bigger picture from a financial and a community standpoint. Thank you.
Thank you. Sister, mom, others?
I'm here for moral support. I am the previous renter, and as Dina and Simon, who's on Zoom now, I sat in many select board meetings, even before the construction even started on this property, when it was Ray Clark's place. So, just here to listen and offer my opinion when it might be needed.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hi, I'm Karen Carter, you can tell we're related. Just here for moral support, and I have the same question, what's changed? A Carter woman has lived in this house for 18 years, so I don't understand, I don't live in Lyme, I live in Hartford, but I don't understand what's changed.
I'm Andrew, I live in the
Yes, Andrew.
I don't really see the thought process behind why we want to sell the house. As my mom said, what has changed in the past, 8 months? 8 months or so, have they decided to sell the house?
Okay, yes, sir.
Excuse me. My name is Wayne McCutcheon. I'm a land surveyor. And I did the septic design for the officers, the new home over here. Great family. And I just went in to say hi because I was a little early. I was mentioning something about yeah, I gotta get the right plan, I'm sorry. Priscilla Lamont. Because I did subdivision and the septic design for her 41 years ago. John said she lives up there. I just hugged her. She recognized me and got talking about a tree. I didn't have any clue that she was still living. And she's granddaughter of Leila Pike. Leila and George Weymouth, they called him Weymouth, Pike, purchased this property. It's up to Route 10, it's across High Street, it's 30 acres. It's parcels that are separated and spread all over the place. November 17th, 1950, 75 years ago. First thing I'm gonna tell you, I passed history in high school because I had to. Then I became a surveyor. Can't get enough of it. That's why I'm sharing this with you. I think it's important. George Pike died December 18th of 64, leaving Leila to be in charge of the family and a widow. So in February of 69, she sold property that came with the original deed. This was a small farm. These plans show a lot of buildings, barns and sheds and whatnot, the early surveys. So she owned land that would separate from this property because it was across High Street and it was over near the town sheds and the cemetery. So in 69, she conveyed that lot over there. And I think the cemetery expanded with the land that she sold. So that's an important thing, I think. And she was formerly, as I say, Leila Lamont. She was Priscilla's grandmother. I didn't know that until I just stopped and said hi to her, gave her a hug twice. And
Priscilla was a town clerk here in Lyme too.
Say again?
Priscilla was a town clerk here.
Oh, she was?
Yeah.
Well, Patty Jenks has just retired, and I'm gonna give her a hug too. I mean, this, for me, well, I'll give you a little background. 1969, I was just a kid I had my associate degree in civil engineering. I had a year working for Davis and Simons, running around surveying woodlots. I got hired by Ken LeClaire. He had 2 crews and he wanted to put on a 3rd crew. And he didn't tell me that when I interviewed him and he hired me, but the reason for that was he had queechy legs. And boy, didn't he. I mean, any one crew didn't go there, we split it up. We had about 9 years of that. And after working for him for 9 years, I gave my 2-week, after the winter was over in April, I gave my, as surveyors do when they get ready to go on their own. He carried me through the winter. I had enough courage to start my own business in Claremont. And having that courage was because I had some pretty good jobs, subdivisions. They needed an engineer, so I hired him. That worked out well. It did. I love Ken LeClaire. And his son, we call him Joe, he's retired now. And the LeClaire records are in a building I own in Claremont, all of them. I got 103 years worth of survey records. Anyway, that's enough about me. I'm here to support these people. So I did this work. The first piece cut off was about 1.5 acres for Priscilla in 81, and Leila was alive, but I don't think I saw her. She was elderly. Like I say, it was her grandmother. But so her son Paul and Dean were co-executors to Leila Pike's estate when she passed away. And I came back in 85, carved off another lot, and that went to Paul Lamont, okay, so it was all in the family. It was, and like I say, when he told me that Priscilla Lamont was still living over there, man, Rick Van Winkle, you know, that's a long time ago. But I'm here to support Jackie. I was at her house introducing myself a few days ago, met her whole family. She supports the family, she works. She isn't dependent on, that I know of, any, her hard work. Her family is very close. She's graduating a son out of college. This soon.
Next week.
She's graduating a son out of Hanover Dresden High School this year. And that's fine, they'll be out on their own and they'll be fine. But she also has an 8th grader, beautiful little girl, that has friends. And, you know, if they were have to be removed for some reason for this house for the next 4 years, that's gonna be tough for that little kid. Because like she said, she can't afford, I don't know, many can't, you know, to settle down and pay the rent and without going further away. So I about melted when I saw that blonde little girl. She deserves 4 more years. That's what I'm saying. After that, but she'll graduate from high school. Her mother will have accomplished a major accomplishment, being the sole supporter of the family and having those beautiful kids.
Thank you, Wayne. I think that's good. We get the gist of it.
Okay?
You have the history. the
Well, I wanted to share the
surveys,
history. I thought it was important.
And we appreciate it, and it's.
If it isn't too late when I get out of here, I'm gonna go get Patty a hug too.
Patty loves hugs.
Give her a call first. Okay, going across, Tom.
Well, personally, I think it's a good idea to keep it. I think, what I'd like to see, and I don't know how you have it set up for the revenue that comes from it, whether it goes to the general fund or how it's set up, but I'd like to see it go into a building account for the different buildings that we have in town. So you take that rent every month, set it in this account, and that'll go, you can have that to offset some of the repairs of the academy building, the fire station, this building, Pike House, the old jailhouse. And I would think that'd be a good way of keeping that revenue stream coming in, so you're not always going to the taxpayers when you have to put a new roof on something. You can build up this account. So I think fiscally, it would be a great idea to keep the house, keep that revenue system coming in. And as they were saying, you don't know what the future's gonna hold, whether you're gonna need that place or not. But it is a good system of getting revenue coming in. The other thing is that we used to have a building committee in town here that took care of these things, and when Michael Woodard passed away, they stopped the committee. Might be a good idea to put that committee back in place to manage the funds coming in to the different buildings in town for repair work.
Thank you very much. And back in the back corner.
Joe Steele.
Hi, Joe.
I came to find out why all of a sudden urgency to sell, and I tend to think that it's in such an awkward place and with expansion future, or just the fact that it seems to be working out well with renters, why all of a sudden now? And, you know, if someone has already approached the town, I'm just curious of why. Because liability doesn't seem like a good reason when there's other things that the town could be liable for too, and nobody's selling, like the library when I fall down the stairs or something.
Well, you put that on our list.
But I came basically for the information, but I support keeping it basically the way it is and having the whole town. And, you know, it's something that I'm surprised didn't even come up in town meeting, or if it was something that was just going to kind of slip through and all of a sudden find it on sale, which kind of worries me.
Well,
The only thing, I mean, even, you know, in 4 years from now, you know, all of a sudden we have 2 police officers that don't live in town. Maybe, you know, you're gonna have workforce housing there. But it definitely should, I think, stay in the town until something can be worked out.
Thank you. And does the Valley News have any comment? Mr. Brown.
Thank you. First off, to the select board, I really want to thank you for having this public meeting, because this is a great way to find out what people are thinking. Everybody said what I'm gonna say. I'm just gonna say that I think it's reasonable and fair to keep it available to the Carpenter family for the next 4 years. I'm sorry, the Carter family.
You were close enough.
Forgive me.
It's okay.
Pike family.
It happens all the time.
Yeah. Secondly, I don't really know the value of this this property, it's an extremely small parcel, it couldn't be subdivided off to be of any value. I don't know that anybody would necessarily wanna buy it, so I don't know that there's a big financial gain to be had. And, you know, people have said, what about expansion? If, you know, this building's gonna be here hopefully for a long, long time, 25 or 50 years from now, is it conceivable that the town would need space? I bet it does, so, those are my observations, thanks so much.
Thank you. Okay, great. Glad to hear from everyone. I understand you have some questions. Ben, do you want to share some of your thoughts about the conversations we've had for, the last 6 months or more? Generally leading to us wanting to speak to the public, or do you want David to?
Well, I think the important thing is we get the public feedback, because, you know, select boards change fairly rapidly, and there's people on the select boards that don't have history in town. So it's important occasionally to bring things up and discuss them, and I think that's the route this has gone. I certainly think the town should not sell the building and keep it, because we will, in all likelihood, need expansion in the not-so-distant future. I mean, we're already adding people, administrative people in town. We already, you know, we're overworked as it is. That's probably what the inception of this was. Every time we need to deal with an issue, it comes all the way through the building to be addressed. So I don't have any firm things, other than I think we should keep the building and be ready for any future possibility.
Thank you, Ben. David?
Yeah, it's nice to hear from everyone, it's nice to get the input. I would point out that when you look at the overall cost of the costs and benefits of renting the property to a tenant, I think, at least by my math, renting this to a tenant that has school-age children ends up costing the town between $10,000 and $15,000 a year. Yeah.
I would love to see that cost benefit analysis.
It's pretty easy, I mean, we pay $25,000.
Was it on paper?
We can
put it on
That'd be
paper.
great.
Are you talking about tuition?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about tuition, about high school tuition?
Yeah, the high school tuition costs the town
okay.
about
But
$25,000
any
a year,
renter
and we get about.
costs them.
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt you, please don't interrupt me.
I'm sorry.
So, look,
My son went to Hanover High too, I lived in the house, I know how much it costs, I had to sign the contract every year.
Let's let David talk,
So-
please.
yeah, I mean, look, I have nothing against you guys, you've been wonderful tenants, and it's, you know, if it was a question of me personally helping you, I'm happy to do that, but I sort of view my job as a selectman to be looking after the interests of the town, and so when you look at it from a town perspective, renting that building to someone with school-age kids costs the town 15 grand a year net. And I just don't know that it's fair to ask the citizens of the town of Lyme to use their taxes to subsidize an individual family like that. In addition to that, it seems to me that the town of Lyme is a terrible landlord. And we don't really know how to, no, we don't, well, that's not our business, we don't know how to set rent, in fact, my guess is the reason we can't find comparable rental housing in Lyme is because we're probably undercharging for rent by a material amount. Otherwise, there would be other rental properties in the same general price range, and apparently there aren't. We don't really have the resources or the, you know, to maintain a property. And there are liabilities associated with being a rental landlord above and beyond just, well, what if somebody slips and falls? Just for an example, and I'm sure this has nothing to do with you, but if, for example, there were to be criminal activity or drug use in a rental property, that property can be seized by the federal government. It can result in massive costs. I'm not at all
Sure,
suggesting
in theory, yes.
that's something that's at risk here, but when the town is trying to consider whether or not to be a landlord, to rent property, I don't know, it seems to me that our job is to sort of think about that in a global sense and think, is this a good idea for us to be doing? To me, at least, the most persuasive thing that people have said is the question about future expansion, and whether or not the town might need that property and regret selling it if we sell it, because we need to expand the town offices, and I think it's certainly correct. It would be hard to find somebody directly adjacent.
It was part of the original discussions with the select board, even before, we tore down the barn in Ray Clark's place with the
So,
need to expand.
I just want to be clear, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings or suggest that there's anything that you're at fault in any way, or that there's anything, I kind of view my job as a selectman to sort of think what's in the best interest of the town of Lyme, and to try to evaluate that dispassionately, and that's all I'm trying to do. I do have to say, though, that I don't think that, a couple of commentators have said, oh, this is opaque, or you haven't talked about this. This has come up, I've been on the select board for about 4 or 5 years, and this has come up pretty regularly over the 4 years, over the time I've been a selectman, both when the question of, well, what should we do about rent, and I know you've come to us and said, look, I have a son in high school, I don't wanna have to pull him out of high school, and we had that conversation for, every year for several years, and we tried to be sympathetic to that, but, at some point, son in school, now you have a daughter in school, at some point, it seems to me that we need to, at least my view is that we needed to look at what we're doing here, look at this property, see if it makes sense for the town of Lyme to retain the property, see if it makes sense to keep it for some other purpose, to just evaluate it in a dispassionate way and with the interest of the town at heart. And that's all, at least that's my only intention. I haven't made a decision, I guess Ben has, but I don't know which way I'd vote on this yet. I wanna sort of mull over the input we've gotten today, and we've also, I don't know if Judy mentioned, we got a bunch of people who wrote in and weren't able to attend today, so there's some input from those folks, and I think if people wanna see that input, it's available. So, anyways, that's my 2 cents on my.
So, hold on, wait.
Yeah.
I just would like to say that financially, this is costing the town money. And we're losing a tax possible bill if it was in private ownership. We are paying about $24,000 a year for high school tuition, which mostly goes up every year. And the income is maybe $16,000 a year, which is nothing to sneeze at. But as we've seen for the last 2 or 3 years, and we have discussed this in meetings previously, we're looking for some money. What a police car truck costs, hold on,
Oh, yeah.
costs, I see you. I'm old, I can't interrupt my brain very often before everything goes away. So, $80,000 for a truck, $350,000, $400,000 could help the town. And I also know, once you do that, you can't get it back, and we might need it. And it is historic, and we have people there. I also know we can't guarantee a 4-year lease. We can do a year by year by year lease. We should look at what is on the market for what we should charge. We're not gonna throw someone out that's a good tenant, but we may need to make some changes. And it's the whole ball of wax that we need to consider. And we're having this meeting early on we know how the family feels, and we appreciate that. And we now know how a good portion of the town feels, at least the people who are interested enough to either send us emails or go on Zoom or come here. That's why we're here, and we will continue to discuss and formulate a decision. Joe,
Yeah, my comment was, I don't know, about the whole cost of the school thing, but also, worrying about the town budget. For 6 months, we're paying for 3 policemen. I would have thought that would have been a consideration too, if you're worried about spending.
It was if you would have come to the budget committee.
And I think that's more of a consideration of extra spending that wasn't needed, or guardrails at the skiway is kind of, all of a sudden we're talking,
Okay,
kids' tuitions. It just doesn't,
it doesn't sit with you.
it doesn't
I
sit
get it.
well.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Thank you.
Tom?
On this thing with the education, yeah, it's expensive, okay. Go, one kid that's gonna be graduating high school pretty soon, and I guess that's gonna be the end of it. You sell it. You don't know how many kids are gonna be coming into that house, and you're gonna have the same thing. What you're gonna lose that revenue stream that's offsetting.
But you're gonna get
You
the
take,
taxes.
you sell, if you can get 200 grand for it, maybe more, maybe less, it'll probably end up in the general fund and it'll be gone, and you won't have that anymore.
Yep.
So, selling it because you have kids at school doesn't fly, because kids are gonna come back in anyway.
But if you sell it, you get income tax, you get a property tax from those, which we don't currently.
Right, but you also have for future use on that too. So you're gonna really screw yourself in the long run if you sell it. At least you have something coming in to offset the cost now. And you're gonna have the one child graduating, so that's gonna cut back on that cost. You sell it, you don't know how many kids are gonna be moving into it, and that's really gonna cost you.
So, thank you. We know that. That's why we are weighing opinions, looking at all the factors that we know of, and now we know of some others. Mr. McCutcheon?
Yes,
Short,
May,
please.
I'm gonna
Brief.
put my surveyor hat on,
No
okay?
more history lessons.
So, the location of this house is such, if I were asked by the town to come down here and make subdivisions so you could sell that house, couldn't do it. There are new regulations that didn't used to exist, and, we'd have to have what the scientists flag the drain that comes down through here. And they flag it, because that's what they have license to do, and then we locate it. And if it's that wide, it's 75 feet that way and that way, the plan that I would create, you can't do anything. We run into this I'm presently doing a job in Etna, and it's Dick Bogman's property, and it's a beautiful, he's the one who did all those walls. And that's taken a couple of years to get done because of this, but this is even more impossible.
Okay.
I don't think it's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Why?
You gotta create a lot of it's gonna be approved by the state. You gotta get a subdivision approved, like I told you, I got 41 years ago, send it to the state with the test hole data, and the perk test and everything, and then they review it. You don't have an area that you could create for that house that wouldn't be interfering with getting closer to the wetland, or this building, I don't see how it could be possible to subdivide it.
I appreciate your opinion. I've worked with you before in Hanover. I know you were well respected. Were we to seriously consider this, we would hire an engineer and a designer.
Absolutely.
To see what we could do, and if it wasn't possible, we wouldn't do it.
Well, everybody's gotta conform to the state regs.
Yes, I understand that.
That would be impossible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Jolynn Carter King.
Okay, Jolene?
Go to hire an engineer.
I'm glad you saw my virtual hand raised, thank you so much. One of the things that strikes me listening to this is the criteria that you're using to make a decision. I'm sorry,
I'm not
am I
talking to you.
interrupting?
No, you are being interrupted. Please, let's be courteous.
Okay. I've definitely heard a lot about the financial criteria, from tuition cost to upkeep and maintenance. I haven't heard other criteria such as what you want the town of Lyme community to stand for. If you think about part of your job as a selectman is to say, what is the culture of Lyme? And what does this community mean to all of the residents? We've already established that the fact that the Upper Valley has a real lack of affordable housing. And let's call affordable under $500,000. Let's be generous. So maybe, I don't know, under $4,000 a month in rent. Taking off one rental removes a pretty significant portion of the affordable housing in Lyme. Is that something that you want to reflect the type of community that Lyme wants to be? And so what I would ask you to do is be, I would say, transparent about all the criteria by which you're just making this decision, financial being one, community being another, and come up with the other, 3 or 4. I'm hearing a lot of different things being thrown around, but I'm definitely hearing a lot of weight on the financials and not a lot of weight on much else.
Okay, thank you very much. And who else wishes to speak?
I don't see any other
No other
hands.
hands?
Yola.
Jackie's hands up.
No, wait, I mean.
Online, on Zoom, not a virtual hand.
Okay, no more up there, okay, Jackie.
So I just wanna say a couple things. One, since this was first brought up, I've actually been doing a lot of research. I've probably talked to over 100 landlords within 60 miles range of the Upper Valley. And part of the affordability has nothing to do with any of the reasons that were mentioned. One is, next to Hawaii, New Hampshire is the most unaffordable state to rent in the United States. It has the biggest disparity between income and cost of rent of any state other than Hawaii. And two, because there is a shortage of housing, landlords know they can get it. It has nothing to do with anything other than you live in Dartmouth community with students who don't have enough housing, because I work at Dartmouth, and landlords know that they can charge that much. I've looked at a ton of apartments over the Upper Valley. Part of the reason, yes, you're probably underpriced here, but part of the reason the rent as it is, places I've looked at that cost $2,000 or $2,100 also don't need $100,000 in repairs. That house does.
Mhm. Thank you. Young man, did you
Yes,
have your
I
hand
do
up?
have something. Our family's lived here for 18 years.
Yes.
I went to Hanover for 2 and Thetford for 2. I would like my sister to stay here and at least go through Hanover, great school. I would like to add David, right? You've been on the select board for 5 years?
4, I think, yeah,
4.
something like that.
Is
It only seems like 5.
Why do you think the liability is such a big deal if it's a liability everywhere in Lyme? Why does the Pike House have change?
I wouldn't say I think the liability is a big deal. I would just say that it's not a non-issue. And the reason I think it's not a non-issue is, and it's nothing, in my opinion, it's nothing unique about this property, but I think that renting residential property people has some risks that you don't have, say, in operating a town office or something that's non-residential. The primary risk that comes to mind for me is that if there's ever any kind of criminal activity associated with the property, that raises the potential of federal seizure, and there are liabilities associated with that. Again, I'm not suggesting that you guys
This
are
house is
engaged.
next to the police.
It's next to the police station.
Somebody would have to be really.
I mean, people are that smart sometimes. I
But
agree.
there is also liability
So,
in the office itself. Like people
Yeah,
here
yeah,
could be.
sure, and we have
You
insurance
could
and-
be.
There's liability with everything.
Yes, that's right. But there are some
Select boards
liabilities that
not
are,
rental agents.
that are unique, that are associated with renting residential property, I think.
So let me ask a question in Jackie's scenario. What if we took paying Isabella's tuition off the table for the town of Lyme?
We can't ask you to do that.
Something to consider,
I'm
but
not
I don't-
asking, no,
I'm not,
I'm putting it out there as an option.
I think that we would have to be very careful that, I think the decision needs to be made without that,
Mhm.
but that's very generous. I think we could get in a whole lot of hot water doing something like that. And we don't,
Yeah.
we're trying to make, fair decision to go forward. We're not saying what we've decided, we're just saying that this idea has come back up several times over the last several years. And we decided it was time. At one point, we thought about maybe, we own a little piece of land across the road, moving the house. We'd do a new basement, which would be nice, and fix it up, and then sell it. And we decided we've knocked a lot of ideas around. We needed to invite the public in and the people that would share with us. So nothing has been done. I think I recognize the generosity of that offer. I don't believe that we could do that, but thank you for that.
Mhm.
And this isn't the major stumbling block, but it is a piece
Sure.
of the financial picture.
Mhm.
In defense of the cost of living in Upper Valley, I happen to be the president of my condo association, and I just got my new assessment of my condo today.
Old Town
And
Hartford did.
my assessment in Hartford for my condominium went up $72,000 from the last time it was assessed. And I can tell you, when I've lived in my condo for 15 years, and I've been the president for 12, when we have renters, people that own the condos and rent, and the rent average used to be 1,100-1,200. The recent rental price where we live now, so this is the condo 2 doors from me just rented, and they are renting it for $3,200.
2 bedrooms, 3
2
bedrooms?
bedrooms, 1.5 baths, deck, $3,200, which is, and the last sale of our condominium complex sold for almost $300,000, which has never happened.
I think anybody who's lived in the Upper Valley for a long time knows the housing situation in the
So the
Upper Valley.
housing situation in the Upper Valley, and we have a lot of people that buy a condo for their kids that are going to medical school at the Hitch.
Yep.
So they buy it for the 4 or maybe 6 if they do,
A residency.
well, they do their medical school, if they do their medical school residency and then a fellowship, you're talking probably 10 years.
Yeah.
So we have about probably 3 or 4 condos that people have bought for their medical students, so that we're aware that the housing crunch in the Upper Valley is horrid.
Thank you, thank you.
Jan? Yeah. So she started.
Oh, Jan Williams?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to say that singling out a particular family for having a high school kid seems like it could lead to charges of some kind of discrimination. And I think you just alluded to this, Judy, but it's concerning to me that you would, whenever you rent that property, you're gonna have a tenant who may have all sorts of different situations in their family, and, they might have 5 kids, who knows? But I sort of would say, please be cautious with that kind of discussion.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jan, appreciate that.
I have a guy raising his hand up there.
Yeah, Simon and Sheila.
Simon is the one that would like to speak now.
Hi, Simon, you have the last word.
I can't find my hands up button. I have to say, the idea of tying this in any way to school charges for children is grossly offensive. I can't think of anything quieter to put like that. You don't do it for any other building in town. Why are you doing it for this one? Come on, Mr. Khan, get real and get civil.
I'm the one that's enough. Thank you, Simon.
Before it gets dark, I'm gonna go give a hug to Patty.
There you go.
So,
Thank you
do-
for your
do-
time.
get somebody that can, engineering is fine. The more education, the better. Can show you that you can subdivide this property. You can't. See you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And how much would it cost?
It didn't cost.
Sheila,
Oh, you'd have to,
I'm all done. Thank you. I think we've had a good discussion. We've heard from everybody.
Okay.
We're beginning to spin our wheels. Folks that feel they need to follow up can send an email to either Dina or the select board email. I'm all done.
You're done.
I'm all done. I'm really all done. I have sweated over this for years. I'm happy to hear people. I don't need to be browbeaten, and we're gonna have continued discussions, and we'll make a decision that we feel is right for the town. I'm done. Sorry, Joe.
Just a quick question.
No. Send a question to Dina, we'll get back to you.
Okay, it was just that, yeah.
And I thank you all for coming, very much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you, folks.
Yeah. I will move